They had told me, it's like, this is an aggressive form of cancer that runs in your family. This gene is unpredictable.
Today on InvestigateTV Plus, families confronted with a life-changing decision after genetic testing reveals a ticking time bomb in their body. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. We hear from patients who opted to undergo major surgery in an attempt to save their lives.
Plus, drawing on experience.
I'm really glad that they know, even if it's hard to know.
We go behind the scenes as a forensic artist uses his talents in an effort to draw a conclusion to cold cases.
Then student athletes face pressure on and off the field.
We felt like kids were dealing with more anxiety than ever.
We examine why it's critical for doctors to check your child's physical and mental fitness before they play a sport.
And one young boy didn't let a few hurdles dash his hot pepper pursuit.
I don't want free money being handed to me. I want to work for my money.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching InvestigateTV Plus.
Nearly 2 million Americans get a cancer diagnosis every year, and every year, hundreds of thousands die from the disease.
The risk of death is particularly high for stomach cancer. The odds of surviving past 5 years, just 36%. In children, the National Cancer Institute says stomach cancer is extremely rare, but for Ava Holly, it's a part of her life. Both Ava's dad and her 16-year-old sister had a rare form of stomach cancer caused by the CDH1 gene mutation. Both had their stomachs removed. Last year, the family found out Ava had cancer cells in her stomach, but they were hopeful stomach removal surgery could wait. A trip to St. Jude Research Hospital for a routine checkup proved otherwise.
He told me that at this point it's time to take the stomach out because there is a lot of inflammation and there were a lot of cells. I was devastated. It's like Zoe, and now Corey just made a year, and it's like, bam, now it's Ava's turn.
It may sound extreme, but doctors say for people with the CDH1 genetic mutation like Ava, removing the stomach is recommended even if they don't have cancer.
Ava had her surgery in the summer of 2023. Her family says she's gone back to school, and the family's most recent checkups show they are cancer-free.
Reporter Kristen Crowley shares what you need to know about the deadly gene.
Family photos can remind us of happy times. They can also remind us of what we've lost.
That was a struggle, those 8 months, watching her go through. She was vomiting, the symptoms, it was just always in and out of the hospital.
Priscilla Bertine was just 14 years old when her mom died from stomach cancer at 42. 2 years later, the disease would claim another family member.
And that one was, Priscilla, come to the hospital, say your goodbyes to your uncle. I'm like, what? He has the same cancer as your mom.
And you didn't even know he had cancer. So your mom had the stomach cancer, your uncle had the stomach cancer. Was that it?
No.
My sister Dolores passed away in 2015 from gastric cancer. My mother in 2009, as well as gastric cancer.
Socorro Velo and Teresa Rivera are Priscilla's cousins.
The three of them passed away.
Combined, they lost 7 family members to stomach cancer. Their doctors at the University of Kansas Health System recommend the family get genetic testing.
They had told me, this is an aggressive form of cancer that runs in your family. This gene is unpredictable.
The gene is called CDH1. It's a genetic mutation that means a person has an 80% chance of getting stomach cancer. Teresa and Socorro tested positive, and within a few months, they found out they didn't just have the gene, they had stomach cancer.
I was scared because I didn't want to die, and it's a death sentence, basically.
8 family members in less than a decade diagnosed with stomach cancer. Priscilla learned she could be next when she also tested positive for CDH1.
I knew I had to take it serious because I watched my mom. My uncle he was gone so short, and all the other family members behind them, I knew I couldn't risk it.
Not risking it meant only one option. Doctors would remove her stomach.
The question I feel like everyone's gonna ask is, how can you live without a stomach?
Dr. Mazen Alkaspuls is a surgical oncologist at the University of Kansas Health System. He not only treated Priscilla, he's removed hundreds of stomachs in his career, 10 of them within the last 5 years, to prevent cancer.
What happens without a stomach, and believe me, the body knows it, like there's major adaptation that goes on in your body. What happens is food goes directly in the small intestine.
Doctors connect the small intestine directly to the esophagus. The intestine then takes on the stomach's job of breaking down food. After that, patients have to drastically change their diets, avoiding sugar and not drinking liquids right after eating.
There must be pretty extreme reasons to remove someone's stomach.
Absolutely. It's very rare to remove somebody's stomach for benign disease. Usually it's for cancer, and it's for bad cancers.
That was what happened with Socorro and Teresa. But in Priscilla's case, it was a preventative measure because of that CDH1 gene mutation.
You kind of are, in a way, removing a benign stomach because, there's no cancer there. You're doing it prophylactically to prevent a cancer from occurring.
Because odds are that cancer will come.
Yes. It's very similar to women who get mastectomies when they're BRCA1.
The BRCA gene increases a woman's risk of getting breast cancer, leading some to surgically remove their breasts, even if they don't have the disease. It can be a life-saving procedure, just like removing one's stomach, especially since stomach cancer is the third leading cause of cancer deaths in the world. That's in part because it is difficult to detect. By the time the cancer is found, it's typically too late. Early testing could save lives.
What's stopping everyone in the country from getting genetic testing?
Really, it's cost. If your insurance company doesn't pay for it, it's a lot out of pocket. And for probably most people, it's not affordable.
Priscilla's insurance did cover the genetic testing cost because of her strong family history. Her scopes and scans all looked normal, but she didn't want to roll the dice. In 2019, she had her stomach removed. It was a good thing she did.
I found out I had stomach cancer that whole entire time.
You had no symptoms?
No symptoms.
If you hadn't had your stomach removed, what do you think would have happened?
Probably would have been gone in a year or maybe less.
A feeling Teresa and Socorro echo.
I wouldn't have been here. I'd be dead. My family would be having one of these of me and him on them.
Instead, they're living a relatively normal life, an opportunity many of their family members never got.
What goes through your head about if they would have had this knowledge then?
They would still be here. Sorry. She would be able to be a grandma, would be able to be at all the functions, all the events that she missed. Just to my boys and my family.
Priscilla and her cousins are raising awareness about stomach cancer with a group called Debbie's Dream Foundation. The nonprofit is pushing for Congress to invest more funding towards gastric cancer research.
If you have a family history of stomach cancer, the doctors we spoke to say you should push for the CDH1 genetic test. Children of parents with the gene mutation have a 50% chance of having the same mutation. Sports can be just as much of a mental game as it is physical for student athletes.
So getting them to, talk about it and to identify it can be, a really important thing.
Still to come, doctors urge schools to make mental health matters a priority for young athletes. We break down the proposed health checkup changes that could identify problems and potentially save a life.
But first, a forensic artist inspired to help identify nameless crime victims. We'll show you how he uses a pencil and paper to help tell their stories. You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes. Crime victims who can't be identified are often referred to by police as John or Jane Doe. Their families, backgrounds, and life, all a mystery that needs to be solved.
One of those mysteries involved a Jane Doe who back in 2004 was the victim of a hit and run in Phoenix. Forensic artist Stephen Missel created a sketch of the woman, and detectives worked for years to put a name with the face. In September of 2023, this Jane Doe was finally identified as 41-year-old Amelia Munoz Loria.
Reporter Brianna Whitney shows us how Missel used the tip of his pencil to help put a face to her unidentified remains.
Patient and precise. It's the art of bringing someone to life after death.
But I know that the lower lid will just about touch or slightly overlap the.
Steve Missel, a renowned forensic reconstruction artist, has worked on hundreds of Jane and John Doe cases, sketching what the victim may look like. He says he turns on classical music and talks to them as if they're alive, showing them respect. His work is done from cadavers, or often just skeletal remains.
It's not like on television shows where everything's pristine and perfect, and you get skulls that have odors and tissue and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Missel works not only for Maricopa County's medical examiner's office, but also works on cases all over Arizona, the United States, and now the world.
Reflection, pupil.
He begins by using these markers to indicate tissue depth in a skull, then grabs his graphite and begins, knowing now from experience how certain features often look.
How did you figure out the lips when there's none there?
Oh, the line dividing the upper and lower lips typically will run across these teeth.
Missel says the skull has more information in it than people realize.
You know, like with the lid here, she had very deep, wide sockets, and I assumed that we would be seeing a pretty strong upper lid.
While he began forensic sketch work at age 60, he's now become one of the best, quickly creating the face of someone still waiting for their name.
Now, by and large, I can do it in a day.
He says he chose his light source in his art to come from the upper right and focuses on shading and contrast because the human eye is drawn to light and dark, with hope that leads to recognizing someone sooner. Now, he says 1 in 5 of his sketches are getting solved, even more so now with genetic genealogy at play.
She was found in a suitcase by the side of the road. It languished for 3 or 4 years, didn't hear anything, and all of a sudden, they found her, and I said, well, not bad.
Most never get a chance to know the mystery artist behind the sketches on the news. And while Missel isn't one to seek out the spotlight, he is full of pride sharing his work that's helped solve mysteries for countless families.
Just deeply satisfying. I'm really glad that they know, even if it's hard to know.
Missel still mostly works on cases in Arizona, but he's sought out by many agencies all over, including cases from Norway and India, and every single sketch he does is by hand, never on a computer. In Phoenix, I'm Brianna Whitney.
Still to come, a young boy inspired to spice up life.
Some people, they don't like hot sauce, and I want some people to start having the motivation to start liking hot sauce, so that's why I made the hot sauce.
We dig into the hot sauce business he's grown from the ground up.
But first, mind, body, and sports. We explore why more school districts are asking doctors to check the physical and mental health of student athletes before they play any sport. Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to InvestigateTV Plus on all social media platforms.
Most of us are familiar with the positive mental and physical benefits of playing sports, but student athletes are not immune to mental health challenges.
According to the National Institutes of Health, during the last 15 years, anxiety and depression has increased among students, and it's even higher for student athletes because of a fear of failure. The same study found student athletes often have trouble addressing their mental health difficulties, and many athletes who want to receive help did not, because of stigmas.
Reporter Ann Emmerich explores the toll playing sports can take on a student's mental health and why one pediatrician wants sports physicals to include a mental health check as well. And we want to warn you, this story does mention suicide.
I'm Dr. Goldstein. So sports physical today, right?
Student athletes are not immune from anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts.
And then any concerns about your mood? Too sad or too anxious?
Just ask Dr. Zach Goldstein, who performs the sports physicals kids need to play high school sports.
I was always surprised that, out of the 40 questions that we have on the sports physical form that, is put up by the MHSAA, there's not one about, mental health.
Dr. Goldstein took his concern to the Michigan High School Athletic Association. As the parent of a student athlete who took his own life, the doctor knows a child that looks healthy on the outside may not be healthy on the inside. He wants the sports physical to include a couple of questions about mental health.
It just has to be something simple to get the kid talking about mental health. So, any concerns about, hurting yourself or others, any concerns about, nervousness, anxiety.
Mark Ewell is the executive director of the MHSAA, which governs high school sports. He says mental health was becoming a priority before the pandemic, and it's now front and center.
We kind of figured out what the post-COVID world looks like and what do our kids need. And the key word coming out of COVID was we felt like kids were dealing with more anxiety than ever. And so we said, well, we need to bring an expert here to the table that can be part of these conversations.
Conversations Dr. Goldstein is already having with student athletes when he provides a sports physical. Conversations that can reveal what's going on inside the child that can lead to a mental health crisis. Conversations that can save lives.
I've noticed that by adding those questions in, when I do a sports physical, I do identify, a population of, student athletes that have fallen outside of detection. So getting them to, talk about it and to identify it can be, a really important thing.
Dr. Goldstein says a lot of parents are surprised when they learn their child is struggling with their mental health. These conversations revealing the vulnerability inside that tough exterior of a student athlete. If you or someone you know is struggling with their mental health, you can text or call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988, 24 hours, 7 days a week. In Lansing, Michigan, I'm Ann Emmerich.
The experts we spoke to also encourage coaches and other school staff members to create an environment where kids feel comfortable talking about their mental health. For example, Minnesota has a counselor or social worker at every school to support students. And in Ohio, a law requires school sports coaches to undergo training in student mental health support.
Up next,
wow, this is amazing. You should make this into a real business.
we meet a young boy inspired by hard work and hot sauce. You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime, streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download. A young boy in South Boston, Virginia was inspired by accident to make and market his own brand of hot sauce.
Frankie Martinez's burning passion for hot sauce started in the hospital when he asked his dad to bring him ketchup for his fries, but his dad brought his son hot sauce instead. The spicy flavor sparked Frankie's interest in creating his own hot sauce business.
Reporter Michaela Shelton shows us how Frankie is blazing the trail for young entrepreneurs by concocting a hot commodity.
In Southside, Virginia,
it's like made by a kid for kids, so, or even adults too.
10-year-old Frankie Martinez has bottled the spice of life.
Some people, they don't like hot sauce, and I want some people to start having the motivation to start liking hot sauce, so that's why I made the hot sauce.
What started as a 4-H project when he was just 9 years old transformed into a business that's still growing.
We had a little project to make up like a business, and I had no idea what to make. But I loved hot sauce at that time, so I was like putting it on my sandwich one day. Then I'm like, wait, that would be a good idea. Then even when the project was over, it still became an official business.
So, with a newly found fire in his soul, Frankie set out to start his hot sauce business from the ground up. With the help of his mom, Frankie planted pepper seeds in his backyard and watered them every day. Frankie then cooked up 5 flavors and started selling them. But with every new business, there comes pitfalls, as Frankie would soon learn after his hot sauce sales started picking up steam at a local farmer's market.
I could have just stopped and said, I don't want to do this anymore.
The Virginia Department of Agriculture got word of his success and told Frankie he would need to have his hot sauce commercially bottled due to FDA regulations. Frankie and his mom needed to raise $10,000 to produce his hot sauce before he could start selling again. His mom, Alejandra, wasn't sure if her son should continue with his hot pepper pursuit.
I was like, do you want to really continue this? I was like, look, it's going to be a lot of hard work, a lot of money to put in a new hot sauce. I even told my husband, I hope he says no.
But no was not an option for Frankie.
I don't want free money being handed to me. I want to work for my money.
And work he did. Frankie spent over a year raising the funds through grants and merch sales. His mom also pitched in. She wrote a children's book about her son's journey to help him reach his goal.
And he says, Mom, I have something here and I want to continue. And I said, okay, if you do, we will follow you.
Frankie now bottles his favorite hot sauce flavor called No AC, It's Hot. He even got to tour the facility in Ohio that's bottling it.
When I first saw it, I was about to cry almost because, after like a year of making it, it's finally out. I'm seeing it. So I was just really happy and everything.
Frankie is working on commercially bottling and releasing more flavors. In the meantime, Frankie continues selling his hot sauce, No AC, It's Hot, on his website and his hometown's farmer's market. In Roanoke, Virginia, I'm Michaela Shelton. While most kids don't like hot sauce, but he's making a hot sauce for kids, he said.
Pretty cool. I mean, how impressive is that?
Yes.
A kid got his own bottle, has a manufacturer in Ohio. Kid's gonna go a long way in life.
Hot sauce from a little kid.
I love it. All right. That's it for us here on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm T. Chappelle. Thanks for watching. Next time on Investigate TV Plus, staffing shortages surge among schools.
The word concerning is an understatement.
An in-depth look at the department most in need of teachers and how districts are getting creative to fill the gaps.